Hello, Drash peoples. We are back today. Mel, you had your live Drash Old Earth, New Earth event at Kyneton Church last Sunday night. Let's talk about it.
I left the big question on the table.
There wasn't even a table.
There wasn't a table.
That's
left
the problem. There was nowhere to put it.
Was the big question about the donuts that were left on the table?
No, not the donuts
There's
that were
another
left
big
there.
question.
There was a question that said, that's the $60,000 question that needs to be asked. But before I get to that, were these two objectives met? Because I received this text, Andy, it might have been from you. What's important to do that night? Two primary things. Give the biblical support for Drash and the ministry's history with it, and that it's okay to disagree and argue with one another about the interpretation of theology. Was that one met? Second one, that Satan wants nothing more than to see the body fall into divisive schism. So we must emphatically encourage all to stay unified and functional according to Jesus' prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, that priestly prayer in John chapter 17. Do you feel those two objectives were met?
I do. Absolutely.
Aaron wrote that.
Oh,
which was great. I need to give him credit because he's going to watch this and he'll be like, "Don't you dare take credit for me." So Aaron sent that to us and he was spot on, right?
Yeah.
I think you did a fabulous job of hosting it. I think that those two objectives were soundly met. Yeah. People left knowing a little bit more about drashing, not just Drash Ministries, but what drashing is about. And I said the entire evening, which was a very long evening, longer than we had expected.
Yeah.
I felt just a real peace on the place in what could be some contentious moments. I felt there was a great level of respect, and I felt like people didn't just run out after it was done, right? They stuck around, and that's always a sign of comfortability with what just happened.
Because not only on the panel, but out there in the audience, we had people on both sides of the fence.
We did.
And it was so good to have that experience together, in that though I thought Andy would be on the panel for at least half of it, his son Tim stepped in. I just love how a guy who's just basically 21 will get right into it and engage in conversation while also doing it respectfully.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the things that really came out, was that there was no doubt that everybody on that panel had different opinions, right? Mm-hmm. Had I gone up there to take Timothy's, I'd have had a different opinion of even maybe Timothy, right? But there was a respect level. The thing I learned most out of this event was that when it got to the question time, there weren't really a lot of questions. It was more people wanting to share their statement, what they believe in, which was exciting to me from the standpoint of, for Drash, people do know what they believe and they do know what they think, and they just need a platform to be able to share that. So we left Sunday night going, I can't wait to do another one real soon, because people want that avenue. They want that ability to share.
And nobody in the audience thought to ask the big question, the $60,000 question that I left.
Yeah, you made us wait a long time.
I'll tell you if it was in my head, because I didn't say everything, Mel. We would have been there all night.
Here's the question, and I think it's the first question and most important question. Did Jesus believe in a young earth or an old earth? And what's the evidence for your position?
I definitely didn't think that. That was not any of the thoughts in my head.
See, I think that's the $60,000 one.
Well, he would be the authority on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he would know.
So are you going to answer the question here?
I'm going to answer it right now.
Right.
I think there's evidence, clear evidence, to show that Jesus believed in the young earth, because it went back to the issue of marriage when he was confronted by the Pharisees. Jesus used the words, in the beginning. What was he referring to? Genesis. What was he also pointing out? That marriage was made for a man and a woman to be united. So if he saw that as real history and said it's in the beginning, you can't have billions of years preceding that with marriage to follow and still say in the beginning.
So he didn't say in the third beginning or the fourth beginning or in the most recent beginning. He said plainly in the beginning.
When you go to Matthew chapter 19, verses 4 through 6, that's where you'll pick up on the discussion and Jesus going back to Genesis. And I'm sure saying the words in the beginning.
Now, is this where it feels like there should be a Mel in the middle? But more, my question to you would be, Mel, is this where people might throw in that whole passage of "I have sheep of other pastures" type of thing, where Jesus said, "Hey, there might be more than you can just see."
I'm sorry, clarify that a little bit more.
So where Jesus is talking and he said that he has sheep in other pastures.
Yeah.
Right? Is this one of those where maybe people would say, well, Jesus said, this isn't the only in the beginning, this isn't the only pasture.
No, because I think the sheep in other pastures have to do with those sheep outside of Israel. I do. I feel like those would have to do with other nationalities, ethnic groups. There are sheep there, sheep amongst the Gentiles. So I think it was another way of saying Gentiles.
So it doesn't have anything to do with maybe people on another planet or aliens or those kind of things, right?
No, I don't think so.
I learned one important thing, Mel, about this whole old Earth, young Earth, right? That people who argue young Earth tend to be very short conversationalists in nature because they just simply believe what the Bible says. There's not a lot to discuss.
It's interesting.
It's like it just says this.
Like, again, when I was looking at Chris and listening to him, this is a man who, travels and has argued all kinds of things. And he just kept saying really one phrase, Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning. Like, he just kept saying
right.
it, right? Timothy's was like, it was simple because he believed it. Those who believe in old Earth tend to have to talk a lot more.
Yes.
Because they have a lot more explaining to do. Now that doesn't that's not an all-inclusive thing.
Yeah.
That's not a negative thing.
Yeah.
Say all.
I'm just saying that there's a lot more having to discuss if you're an old Earth person.
Mm-hmm. I totally would agree. And I agree that there's something to the old Earth position that opens the door, especially to evolution.
Yeah.
Well,
and
that's one of the two things that I came out with. Number one, I wish we did have someone there on the panel claiming to be a Christian who believed in old Earth evolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's so much, like I said, it's old Earth without evolution. It makes zero sense.
What's the need for it?
What's the point? So then my second big thing coming out of it was this whole reset button idea. And I was just like, wait, why would you reset if there was no sin? And if the first sin wasn't until Adam and Eve, why would God just clear?
Exactly.
Delete? Why would he do that?
I would agree.
Nah, I don't like it. Start over. Like a etch a sketch. You're just gonna
Well, my problem.
And how many times?
Why would I want to serve a God like that? Why do I want to serve a God that just gets frustrated and resets?
Yes.
Well, and seriously,
true.
why in these last thousands of years that we're in, right, since Adam and Eve, why didn't he hit the reset button yet? We're a hot mess. Seriously.
You're right.
This world is horrific. You're telling me he just... Is it just because the book's already written? He's like, well, I got to stick to it now, and we'll do it again? I don't get it.
He didn't put it in writing the first 6 times he did it. So this time he put it in
that,
writing.
I never heard that before.
It's just very speculative.
I never heard it.
Well, then was God interactive with those previous
And I'm just or were they like us? Or were they other kinds of creatures?
I think, Mel, the whole idea on this wrap-up is we still got a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yes, true.
And I think the drashing aspect creates that, right?
It was so
we
good.
Listen to other people's takes.
Yeah.
And then we start digesting it. And again, we did a whole Mel in the middle on this. And now I think we could do another
12
5
more,
Mel
yeah.
in the middles, because I've got questions like Summer has on very specific things that we heard.
Yeah.
But I think there's a need. I think there's a need for more, Mel.
I do. I do know of somebody who claims to be a Christian and believes in evolution.
Well, bring him in.
His name is Ed. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Well, thank you for joining us. And Summer, you should do the outtake.
Ooh, look at that. He just said, Summer, wrap this up.
You picked the right name. I'm so proud
I
of you.
know.
I am smart today, y'all. If you watched our first Drash live event, then thank you. And if you were there, then thank you. I was very impressed with our audience online and there. You guys know your stuff, and you are not scared to say it. So that's awesome. And thank you for taking part. And thanks for watching this wrap up. Come back very soon. We are definitely going to be doing more Drash live events. So actually, if you want to comment on this and let us know topics that you guys want to see us Drash out, give us some ideas.
I volunteer, meaning vaccines, mask mandates in the church. What should we do about it?
It's coming.
Dun, dun, dun. You guys might have to come live for that one, so it'll probably be taken off of Facebook. So make sure you watch out and